which is very, very, very key. And of course, this now brings us to our next segment of the program, where, of course, we'll be taking a look at the issue of inflation rate in Nigeria. Now, inflation rate in Nigeria increased to 28.20% in November from 27.33% in October of 2023. Inflation rate in Nigeria averaged about 13.23% from 1996 until 2023, reaching an all-time high of 47.56% in January of 1996 and a record low of minus 2.49% in January of 2000. I think 2 weeks ago when it was announced, last week rather, when it was announced that Nigeria's inflation rate is now in the region of 28.20%, that didn't come as a surprise to a lot of people. But what does this mean for Nigeria's economy, and what should we as citizens be doing in order to, wiggle our way through these very, very difficult times? This is why on this next segment of the program, we have invited a very regular economist in the house, Mr. Bosun Adeyeye. Thank you very much for joining us again this morning.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for having me.
It's always good to have you in the studio, especially to help us make sense of some of these very high-sounding economic jargons, so to speak. Now, I want you to, first of all, speak to the current inflation rate in Nigeria. What does this mean for the average earner in the country?
Yes, I won't speak this morning either as an economist or as a technocrat in terms of jargons or terminology.
We want you to simplify.
I want to speak so that Nigerians can understand.
Exactly.
We want to speak to laymen, to average Nigerians on the streets.
Yes.
In our elementary economics, the definition given to inflation is persistent rise in prices of goods and services, which is generally felt. Is a general persistent rise in the prices of goods and services. Because if, for example, a sector of the economy witnesses inflation, you don't call that inflation.
Okay.
There could be certain reasons why that happens, and it could be short-lived. And when the rising is not persistent, it's still not qualified to be called inflation.
Okay.
So when you want to define inflation, two things are very important.
Okay.
It must be persistent, and it must be general.
Generally, widely
it must
felt.
cut across all sectors of the economy. And if you are in Nigeria today, in fact, in the last 2 weeks, what we have been seeing on papers is that the rich also cry. So it means that the inflation that we are going through in Nigeria today is not just biting hard on only the low earners alone. Even the rich are feeling the heat. So what we are saying is that when the prices of goods and services cut across all areas or sectors of the economy in such a way that it affects your disposable income. What we call disposable income is the money that is available for you to spend. So then it means it has gone beyond. So what we are facing today in Nigeria is that the disposable income left in the purses of Nigerians is no more enough to take care of the regular bills. An average worker today in Nigeria, the take-home pay is hardly taking them home. So, and that becomes a concern. And this is not without, what we are facing now is not, it's not something that just came upon us one night. It's a product of certain or combination of factors.
That was what I was going to ask. How? What are the factors that brought us to this stage?
Yes, the first factor, in my own estimation, is the fact that over the last few years, our economy had been dwindling. There were no right policy formulations. There were issues of policy somersaults. The insecurity was part of the causes, because if you look at it, at the core of this inflation, if you look at the analysis done by Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, at the core of it is the inflation of food.
Food items.
Food
yes.
items. So, and why do we have food inflation that high? It's because we have a lot of money chasing very limited availability of food. Because today in Nigeria, in some parts of the north where we have certain food items being produced in mass, most of the farmers couldn't go to farm. At times when they even go to farm, to harvest became a problem. So it's all this, when you look at it, then now to crown the whole thing, by May 29th this year, when our new president came on board,
for a subsidy,
he pronounced that subsidy was gone. And that climaxed the whole thing. You know, when you say food, if you are producing cassava and the cassava production went down, people can switch from eating cassava to possibly eating something else. But something about fuel or oil in Nigerian economy, because of our limited sources of power and energy, whenever anything affects oil in Nigeria, it affects virtually everything. So at the moment, if you look at it, the president pronounced on May 29th,
yes.
And by June 2nd, all these oil suppliers, including NNPC, in fact, it led the way.
It was on May 30th that we started feeling...
Within 48 hours.
Yes, we started feeling the impact.
Everywhere there were queues, prices went up, and a lot of things began to happen. And within few weeks, almost every producing firms in Nigeria begin to cry. Because now the staff were clamoring for increment in wages. Because if I'm not able to come to work, by the virtue of the fact that, okay, for example, I'm earning 50,000 naira before, and I used to spend maybe 15,000 naira
on transportation,
or 10,000 naira on transportation. But suddenly, instead of 10,000 naira I used out of 50,000 naira, I'm now spending 30,000 naira.
Exactly.
So it means I'm left with only 20,000 naira. And out of 20,000 naira, I will eat at least twice a day. So there is no way I will continue to come to work. And the people who also employ, the employers of labor, they are spending more. They spend more on diesel, they spend more on other things, on vendors who supply them one thing or the other. So they are not making more money. The profitability ratio is not increasing
at all.
It's actually possibly dwindling and reducing. And the staff are asking for increasing wages and allowances. So these are things that had happened over time, and it's actually affecting the living standard of average Nigerian on daily basis. I can tell you, I just saw on paper this morning that most Nigerians are surely traveling during this Yuletide season. Because when you travel, for example, an average person living in Abuja, and you want to go to village for celebration of Christmas, they believe that within the time you are around,
definitely,
at least
certain things should
their bread is buttered. But they don't know that the guy coming from Abuja,
he didn't even have the bread.
Does not even have the bread. Not to talk of butter. So these are the issues of today. These are the things that are going on in Nigeria. And I think somebody said it's like the government is underestimating the effect of what is going on. And I've heard somebody talking about revolution. And all I would say is that there is need for our government, though the president has said it in a number of fora, that he feels our pain. But the policies, programs of governments that have been so far launched, read out, are not tackling these immediate issues that Nigerians are confronted with. For example, one of those things that we were told was that the CNG buses will be rolled out to bring down the prices of transportation in the country. Apart from Ogun State and Borno State,
yes,
where we have seen the governors significantly working in that regard. Just few days ago, the president was in Borno to actually commission another set of CNG vehicles in Borno State. Ogun State, we have also seen their own long buses and are distributed across the state. Most of other states in Nigeria, we have not seen them doing anything in that regard. Yet, I've not seen so many other organizations too that have actually increased salaries and wages, because there is no money in the first place to increase anything. So this hardship is real in Nigeria today, and there is need for government to do something urgent to reverse the trend.
I'll ask you on what government should do, but there is something that you said that is worth reiterating, because a lot of people underestimate the impact of insecurity in the northeast, northwest, and north central region. People who are outside of these regions think it's the problem of the north, it's the problem of the people over there. But you have said something now that connects whatever is it that happens in these regions to virtually every other part of the country.
That's right.
Our inflation that is now crazily high. You said the MBS, tied most of it to food items. And it's very understandable. We've been reading in the papers where farmers are unable to go to farm unless they pay taxes to bandits. Just last week, gunmen attacked a village where they burnt harvest that the people have already, made, and all of that. And all of these things are tied to, the cost and prices of food items that eventually, once these people are unable to farm, they too also now have to resort to buying the same food items that are very, very limited. And these are some of the things. So it's better, because I really appreciate the mode, because when we are talking economics with economists, they usually want to sound high flying, but this morning I'm very sure even our viewers will agree that you are explaining it in a way that we can easily relate with and understand truly what we are going through. But now that we are here,
recently federal government shared some billions of naira to the states, and I just mentioned to you that out of the 36 states of Nigeria, apart from Lagos that has functional transport system, I can tell you that one, so that's why they are not under pressure this time. I was in Lagos in September, I was in Lagos in October, and I could see functional public transport system. In fact, today, I was in Lagos in September, and I was asking that government has been able to sort the issue of long hours on the road in Lagos, and they said it's not as if government has done anything extraordinary.
Wow.
But it's because that people have now imbibed the culture of parking their cars at home and go through public transport. So it reduces the number of... It's cheaper. And they did it in such a way that it's in different levels. You have those ones that commoners can afford to enter. You have those ones that they are chilled buses. Now, when you enter, within 2 minutes, you can sleep off. Wow. Because they are factory-fitted AC. It's very comfortable, very, very good for any class of individuals.
And expensive too.
You are not bothering that you want to cross somebody, you want to overtake somebody. You just sleep off. Somebody is driving you, and when you get to your bus stop, you come down. But this is not it's not the same in other states of Nigeria. And I just mentioned only two that I saw responding to this challenge of high transport costs today in Nigeria, Ogun State and Borno State. What is happening in other states? We don't know. The governors are not really doing much to some. They said they do palliatives.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
I saw one on viral video sometimes in my state, and the whole community was given less than half bag of rice
to share.
And the people around the Bale that was given such thing, they don't even know what to do with it. But it cannot even be shared among 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 family households. Not to talk of being shared by a community, and you call that a palliative. So Nigerians are going through hard times, and it's like the government is not doing much about it. And if you allow me, I will prefer some of things I think government can do in the immediate.
Yes, we have some few minutes to go, so let's focus on that. those immediate actions that
one
can
of
be
them
taken.
just happened this week, and I think they can do further.
Okay.
Government just announced that all the tariff duties paid on gases, that particularly the liquefied gas used in homes, should be removed immediately.
Okay.
So if that happens, I just bought gas, 12.5 kg last week Saturday. I bought at 11,700 naira.
Instead of,
but I discovered that instead of the regular 9,000 that we bought, and I can tell you, the 9,000 became regular.
Yeah.
Only towards end of last year and this year. By early last year, I could still remember, I filled the same gas, the same 12.5 kg, 3,500 naira. In one of the gas stations.
Yeah.
But within 1 year, it has skyrocketed to that level. You can imagine my salary was not increased, but I was filling gas 3,500 naira early last year. But today, I'm filling the same quantity, 11,700 naira. So you can imagine, and it is higher in some other states.
Yes, it is.
In Lagos, it's more. It's the last time I went, I discovered that what they bought in that area where I went was actually higher than the one I bought last time I was in Abuja. So this is what is real that is affecting people. Two, you discover that in Nigeria today, the people that use kerosene, they are the lowest run. They are the lowest run of the ladder. And kerosene, as at the last time I checked, I think it's still around 1,000 or so per liter. So how many liters will an individual be able to buy that will cook for the whole family for 1 week, for 2 weeks, for 1 month?
Wow.
Something should be done about that. And if you want to make sure that all Nigerians use gas to cook, what are the ways you can do this? Government can come out by rolling out this 5 kg and share free of charge. And if you share, bring down the price of the gas that they will use to cook with these things they are sharing. By the time that is done, possibly an average Nigerian, particularly the poor people, will be able to breathe in that area. You know, our president says,
so let the poor breathe.
They can be able to breathe. Again, the issue of prices of food, until we are able to tackle the issue of security and the transport, the price of food will not still come down. And I think, in all fairness, the military are doing very wonderfully well now.
Okay.
Almost week after week, back to back now, you hear that certain commanders were brought down.
Yes.
And you see, in the effort to do that unfortunate incident of Tudunbiri happened a couple of weeks now. So they are doing a lot, and I think if this can be sustained, this year's season had gone already. Possibly we can see a twist of events next year. Maybe we can see a reverse trend next year. If farmers are able to go to the farm, they are able to farm and bring home. Because you just mentioned something when you were talking, that even their harvest were burnt by these terrorists. So if we are able to have a saner environment where an individual farmer can go to farm and bring back home their harvest, and they can be able to send it to the market, I think we'll be able to see a reversal of that trend. And again, government rolled out some palliatives for companies, for firms, sometimes around July. But I was still listening to some individuals who came on television this last week and said, till now, they have not heard anything. Talk about giving, I think, about 70 billion naira, 1 billion to 75. 75 billion naira for 75 identified companies or firms. We have not heard anything about that. Somebody was complaining about the fact that maybe government was not clear about how to go about it. So another one was the 75,000 naira for certain individuals. I think 1.something million naira for some SMEs and all that. So some of these things were still in the realm of promises. Government needs to be fast about reaching out to these people so that we can begin to feel the impact of some of these interventions. There are interventions that will possibly have some effects. Because some people have even said that time that 1 trillion naira intervention will not make much impact. And between July and now we are in December, even that little intervention has not gotten across to the people that are supposed to have gotten it. So that is why you will not be surprised that we are still in this quagmire where people are still shouting and crying that it's getting unbearable. And before it gets to level where Nigerians will come to the road to begin to raise placards against our government, I would like government to actually do something about it. It's not really funny out there.
It's not at all. And Mr. Bosun, I have to sincerely and personally thank you for this very elementary economics this morning. I'm very sure our viewers have also been able to connect one or two things that are happening to understand better why we are the way we are.
Before I go finally, I would like to say that one of those things they also need to do as Nigerians is that you must, particularly in this season, cut your cloth according cut your coat according to your cloth, not according to your size. Live within your means so that you don't put yourself under pressure. There are things that are not essential. Cut off those things. Deal with those essential things in this kind of time. Whatever you can do to manage your resources, please do. So that we celebrate Yuletide. Somebody said it is Jesus Christ's birthday, not your birthday. So don't kill yourself over Jesus Christ's birthday.
Well, there you have it. That's a very golden advice that for me I've also taken into consideration, because there's no need repeating it that times are hard for a lot of families. In fact, the rich are also crying these days because it's not easy for anyone out there. But there will be another time for us to continue this conversation, definitely. And Mr. Bosunade is a household person here. We will continue to reach out to him, and I'm very sure he will continue to oblige us with his presence. Thank you once again very much. We really appreciate it. And it's on this note that we draw the curtains on today's edition of ASU Morning on ASU TV. We thank you from wherever it is you're watching us from. Do keep a date with us. We'll be right back tomorrow with another package entirely meant for your pleasure. My name is Usman Katun Umar. Do enjoy the rest of the day.